Hello everyone. Today we will discuss Benedict Anderson's Imagined Communities. Nationalism is everywhere. It shapes our world, it gives us passports, borders, and flags. It also makes us feel something deep. People cry at national anthems, they celebrate national holidays, they go to war for their country, they even die for it. Before we define the nation, we must understand three puzzles. Anderson calls them paradoxes. They seem like contradictions. First paradox: nations are new. Historians can date their birth. Most nations appeared in the last 200 years. But nationalists believe their nation is very old. They think it has existed forever. An Italian nationalist believes Italy has always been Italy, but Italy as a unified state is only about 150 years old. How can something be both new and ancient? Second paradox: nationality is universal. Everyone today has a nationality. You are a French or Chinese or Brazilian. It feels natural, like having a gender. However, every nation is also unique. Being French is different from being Chinese. Each nation has its own special character. How can something be universal and particular at the same time? Third paradox: nationalism is very powerful. It can move millions of people, it can start wars, it can topple governments. However, nationalism has almost no serious philosophy. It has no great books. It has no complex theories. How can something so strong be so intellectually empty? These paradoxes are not mistakes, they are clues. They tell us that nationalism is a special kind of thing. We need a new way to understand it. Anderson gives us a simple definition. He says a nation is an imagined political community. It is imagined, limited, sovereign, and a community. Let us break this down. Imagined. This is the most important word. It is also the most misunderstood. Imagined does not mean fake, it does not mean a lie. It means that most people in a nation will never meet each other. You will never meet most of your fellow citizens. Think about your own country. How many people do you know? A few hundred? A few thousand? Your country has millions of people. You have never seen most of them. You will never speak to them. But in your mind, you know they exist. You feel connected to them. You imagine a bond. This is what Anderson means as imagined. Limited. Every nation has borders. No nation claims to include the whole world. Even the most ambitious nationalists know there are other nations. The French know there are Germans. The Chinese know there are Japanese. Nations are finite. Their borders may change over time, but they are always there. Third, sovereign. Nations want to rule themselves. They do not want to be ruled by outsiders. This idea came from the Enlightenment. Kings used to rule by the will of God. The people had no say, but the nation replaced the king. Now the people are sovereign, they rule themselves through the state. Fourth, community. The nation feels horizontal, it feels like brotherhood. Everyone is equal as citizens. There are no permanent masters and no permanent servants. Of course, real nations have inequality. Some people are rich, some are poor, but the feeling of the nation cuts across these differences. A poor Frenchman and a rich Frenchman are still both French. This feeling is so strong that people will die for it. Before nations, people lived inside different kinds of communities. Two were most important: the religious community and the dynastic realm. The great religions created huge communities. Think of Christendom. It stretched from Spain to Scandinavia. Think of the Islamic Ummah. It stretched from Morocco to Indonesia. These communities were held together by sacred languages. Christians had Latin, Muslims had Arabic, Buddhists had Pali. These languages were not just tools, they were truth itself. The Quran could not be translated because the Arabic words were God's own words. These religious communities began to fall apart. Several things caused this decline. First, European explorers discovered new worlds. They found people who had never heard of Christ or Muhammad. Marco Polo described the great Kublai Khan. The Khan respected all religions equally. This shocked Christian readers. It made them realize their religion was not the only truth. Second, the Reformation shattered Christian unity. Martin Luther challenged the Pope. Suddenly, there were Protestants and Catholics. They fought terrible wars. The idea of a single Christendom died. Third, the Enlightenment promoted reason over faith. Philosophers questioned religion, they demanded evidence, they laughed at miracles. Religious belief declined, but human suffering did not disappear. People still got sick, people still died, their children still suffered. Religion had given meaning to these tragedies. It promised an afterlife. It connected the dead to the living. When religion weakened, something had to replace it. That something was the nation. The nation offers a secular version of immortality. You will die, but the nation lives on. Your children carry the nation forward. Your ancestors built the nation before you. You are part of a chain. This chain links the dead, the living, and the unborn. It turns the accident of your birth into a destiny. You are born French by chance, but France is eternal. Next is the dynastic claim. Before nations, most people lived under kings. These dynastic realms were very different from modern states. Kings did not rule over nations, they ruled over territories and people. A king might rule Germans, Czechs, and Hungarians all at once. That was normal. The Habsburg family ruled Austria, Hungary, Bohemia, and much of Italy. No one thought this was strange. Borders were not fixed lines, they were fuzzy zones. Power faded slowly as you moved away from the capital. A village might owe loyalty to two different kings. That was fine. Dynasties expanded through marriage. They did not need to conquer. A smart marriage could add a whole kingdom to your realm. The Habsburgs were famous for this. Their motto was, "Let others make war. You, happy Austria, make marriages." These dynastic realms also declined. The Enlightenment questioned the divine right of kings. Revolutions in America and France cut off kings' heads. By the 20th century, most dynasties were gone. Their replacements were nations. Anderson says that a fundamental change in how people think about time made nationalism possible. Before the modern era, people thought about time in a religious way. This is called messianic time. In this view, past and future are connected to the present. Biblical events are not long ago, they are alive here and now. When you eat the bread of communion, you are present at the Last Supper. Time does not flow in a straight line, it is vertical. Eternity touches every moment. Then everything changed. A new conception of time appeared. Anderson calls it homogeneous empty time. This is secular time. Time moves forward in a straight line. It ticks like a clock. 1 second follows another. One day follows another. The past is gone. The future is not yet here. Each moment is empty until we fill it with events. This new time allows us to imagine something strange. It allows us to imagine simultaneity. Simultaneity means different things happening at the same time. You are eating breakfast. Across the country, a stranger is driving to work. Another stranger is reading a book. all at the same clock time. You never meet these people, but you know they exist. You imagine their parallel lives. Two inventions taught people how to think this way: the novel and the newspaper. The novel shows us characters doing different things at the same time. Take a simple example: a man is at work, his wife is shopping, their child is at school. The novel describes each of these activities. It moves from one to the next. The reader knows they are happening simultaneously. The reader sees the connections. The characters themselves may not know what the others are doing, but the reader knows. The newspaper does the same thing. Look at a front page. There is a story about a coup in Africa. Next to it, a story about a murder in London. Next to that, a story about an election in the United States. What connects these events? Nothing except the date. The newspaper tells you they all happened on the same day. They are all happening at the same time in the same world. The nation is like a novel or a newspaper. You will never meet most of your fellow citizens. You have no idea what they are doing at any moment, but you believe they exist. You believe they are out there. You believe they are doing things at the same time as you. This belief is the nation. How did this new way of thinking spread? Anderson's answer is print capitalism. Capitalism always want to make more money. In the 15th century, a new technology appeared. It was the printing press. Printers could produce books much faster than monks could copy them by hand. Printers wanted to sell as many books as possible. They looked for the biggest market. The biggest market was not Latin readers. Latin was a small elite language. Most people could not read it. So printers began to print in vernacular languages. They printed in French, German, English, and Italian. This was a revolution. Here is why. First, print capitalism created unified markets of readers. Before printing, people spoke many different dialects. A peasant from Normandy could barely understand a peasant from Provence. But when they read the same printed French, they could understand each other. They realized, this person speaks like me. We are the same. We are French. Second, print capitalism gave languages a new fixity. Handwritten books change over time. Each scribe makes small changes. The language drifts, but printed books do not change. A book printed in 1500 looks the same in 1800. This stability created a sense of antiquity. Languages seemed ancient and permanent. Third, print capitalism elevated some dialects over others. The dialect of London became standard English. The dialect of Paris became standard French. Other dialects became inferior. They were labeled peasant speech or slang. This created a hierarchy. Some ways of speaking were better than others. Later, these hierarchies became political. They became part of national identity. Print capitalism did not create nations by itself, but it made nations possible. It created millions of strangers who could read the same words. It connected them across space and time. It gave them a shared language and a shared world. Most people think nationalism started in Europe. They point to the French Revolution. They point to German Romanticism. Anderson says no. The first nations appeared in the Americas between 1776 to 1830. Think about it. The United States declared independence in 1776. Haiti followed in 1804. Then came the Spanish American republics: Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, and others. These were the first nations. Why did nationalism start in the Americas? Language was not the issue. The American revolutionaries spoke the same language as their colonial masters. The US spoke English, Spanish America spoke Spanish, Brazil spoke Portuguese. They were not fighting for a unique mother tongue. What mattered was something Anderson calls the colonial pilgrimage. The Spanish Empire was huge. It needed bureaucrats. These bureaucrats travel from post to post. A young Spanish official might start in a small town. Over his career, he would move to larger cities. Eventually, he might reach the capital of his colony. For a Creole, a person of European descent born in the Americas, this was as far as he could go. The highest jobs went to the Peninsulares, Spaniards born in Spain. The Creole could never go to Madrid. On this cramped journey, the Creole met other Creoles from across the colony. He shared the same fate. He could not go higher. He was stuck. But he was not alone. All Creoles were stuck together. They began to realize something. They were not true Spaniards, they were something else. They were Americans. Newspapers strengthened this bond. The printing press came to the Americas. Local newspapers appeared. They printed news about marriages, prices, and political appointments. They created a reading public. This public was specifically Creole. The Caracas Gazette was read by Creoles in Venezuela. It told them about their shared world. When the Spanish Empire weakened, the Creoles did not want to rule Spain. They wanted to rule their own colonies. They imagined each colony as a separate nation. The shape of the colony became the shape of the nation. This is why we have Colombia, Venezuela, and Argentina. Their borders were originally colonial administrative units. A map of the Spanish Empire in 1780 looks very similar to a map of South America today. The colonies became the nations. The United States were different. The 13 colonies were smaller and closer together. They united into a single nation, but the principle was the same. The colony became the nation, the Creole became the citizen. Let us review what we have learned so far. First, nations are imagined communities. They exist because millions of strangers believe they share a bond. Second, nationalism replaced religion and dynasties. It offers a secular form of immortality. It connects the living to the dead and the unborn. Third, a new way of thinking about time made nations possible. Homogeneous, empty time allows us to imagine simultaneity. Novels and newspapers taught us how to think this way. Fourth, print capitalism created the conditions for nations. It unified readers, it fixed languages, it created hierarchies of speech. Fifth, the first nations appeared in the Americas, not Europe. Creole bureaucrats, trapped in colonial pilgrimages, imagined their colonies as independent nations.